Hey guys, I'm about to send my rescue pod up into orbit and dock it with my space station. I was already about 4 minutes into this video explaining it, and somebody called about a job that that I'm going to be starting soon, so I had to take that. I had to stop the video. Um, yeah. Anyways, uh, from here up is the rescue pod, and from here down is everything that's going to be getting it into space. Um, We've got a mainsail motor right smack in the middle because after all these other motors drop off, you still need a fair amount of thrust to push this tank and that entire contraption up there into orbit. So you've got a mainsail here, and then you've got skippers around it. I did 6 symmetry, so that's good. It uses asparagus staging, so this tank and that tank will be drained first and will be ejected, then this tank and that tank, and then they'll be ejected in this one and that one. And we've got solid fuel boosters to help get it up in the air. I'm using separatrons here, as you can see, just to help get everything away, because if you don't, especially with having fins or having winglets, any sort of control surface, if you're using SAS, these are just going to be flapping around, and whatever orientation they are when you hit the eject button, or when you fire off your next stage, they will hold that orientation, and they will still try to go through the air like that. So let's say that they're trying to push this way all the way to keep you on track. As soon as this thing comes off, it's just going to fly right into that engine and destroy it. And so I use separatrons on these stages, on the solids up there, and then also on these solids, because these aren't going to be on the finished product. These are just after the last pair of skippers fall off and it's just the mainsail. That's when these right here fire off. As for the rescue pod itself, atomic engines, I've got 7 of them, including one in the center. Just this small amount of fuel, which is more than enough. RCS tank, a crew pod right here. This is a remote control unit, so that way after I undock, this is the lander that'll be going to the planet in case they're actually on a planet. But once I undock, I'll be able to actually control this half. I'll be able to switch control to this and use it, and it'll actually be no problem. It'll be pretty cool. And so, I mean, in case something really bad were to ever happen, I could get this back to the space station and put it into an orbit directly beside the space station, maybe send up another piece that's identical to this so I can redock it. I don't know. I'm not quite sure what would happen. But, yeah, these are just some tiny, I don't even know what they're called, the LV909s, that's what these motors are, and they've got thrust vectoring, so should be able to land, plus I've got a whole lot of RCS ports. This is the docking port to dock with the space station. Radial parachutes, since I'm using up the top. These lasers right here, this is a mod, it's called Quantum Struts. As soon as you dock, if these lasers come in contact with anything, it'll make a strut, and I don't think my space station has anything that far out, unfortunately, so I may not even be able to make use of those, but depending on where I put it, maybe it will hit something. I don't know. We'll find out once I get up there. I've got quite a few open slots. So yeah, this will be in orbit around the planet, and then this part will detach, go down if need be. I've got some people stranded on the moon, on in orbit around Mun, and I don't know how you pronounce it. I think I saw it one time with umlauts, so I guess it would be pronounced moon still, but it's M-U-N. Anyways, yeah, I'll get this up into orbit close to that pod, and load the people, EVA them, and load them right into, I don't even know where the freaking oh, I forgot, that's a gas tank. I'll load them in right here, and they'll be good to go. As you can see, I used a lot of struts, girders, all that good stuff. Most of it breaks off. In fact, to be honest, the finished product, there's barely... It looks really clean once everything's done. So, yeah, let's Let me see something really fast. I'm gonna add one tiny solar panel setup. Put one right here, and let's see, and then the one will be on the opposite side of this, so I guess right here. And action groups. I have custom 2, which I thought it toggled. Oh yeah, it does. Alright, it toggled them all as a group. So this will toggle all of the nuclear engines. And I'm going to make another one, action group 3, that will toggle these engines right here, because, I mean, once, not toggle gimbal, toggle engine. Because once you have it hooked up, you don't want these to be thrusting. They're not very efficient compared to these atomic engines, and so I don't want them to be messing everything up and shooting thrust down here and stripping off my my struts and things like that. So I want a good way that I can just toggle these off if that's what I need to have. And then for custom 1, let me scroll back down here, toggle panel, toggle panel, because that's how it's set up on my space station. So while it's docked, I can have everything toggle at one time. And that's nice. Maybe also throw on, I don't know, one of these, because I know that it actually takes electricity to power the little, I don't know what it's called, the robotic control unit, remote control unit, that's what it would be, this. And so I just want it to be able to have a way of sustaining itself when the engines aren't running. So, save this, take it to the launch pad. I am using, originally when I was bringing my space station up, I had problems getting it into orbit. And it wasn't because I didn't have enough power. I ended up using the same craft and just used the autopilot to work on it, because I couldn't do it in a fuel efficient enough way. And so I downloaded MechJeb, and that's what I'm going to be using to get this into orbit, because with these giant things, you have to be right on the ball. Like, you've got to literally fly a perfect turn. And I'm going to let the ascent guidance do it. And also, I use it just for the simple fact that I want to be able to dock up with this in the air. And this thing will automatically warp, and you can see launched a rendezvous. Yeah, so I'll do that, and you'll see, I don't know if you guys know how the turning works, but there's one tiny spot where it turns a little bit too sharp, and you can fix it somehow by using this option, but I don't feel like dealing with it right now, so I'll just hold it manually a little bit above whatever it's trying to do, so that way the apoapsis gets high enough. So now we will, and I'm letting it auto stage as well, because I've got all my stages set up perfectly. So, launch to rendezvous, engage autopilot. Hopefully, with these new motors, I took out a big motor. I took out a Poodle and added these. And so hopefully it will work properly, and it will, it'll still be able to get in orbit. So I've got it set to prevent overheating and to limit to terminal velocity, and as you can see, the mainsail starts to overheat right off the bat, but it's limiting the terminal velocity before it starts to overheat, and so you really don't have to worry about the limiting by overheating and slowing yourself down, therefore burning more fuel until way later in the game, like once you're already way up in orbit. First stage just detached. You can see they come off really nice and clean. You can hear the little hiss. And now the solids are about to go next. We got a big stage for these. A lot of really big stages. You can see that one twirled. If it hadn't been for that thruster, it would have just spun and possibly knocked this entire engine off, and at that point, it's coming way over. It's not going to look good. This should be up here. There we go. There, those detach. They almost hit this, but it's good. Now at 10,000 feet, yep, we're beginning our turn. Beautiful. 290 degrees, because that's the orbit of the space station. As soon as these two motors come off, that's when the solids up here are going to ignite. And at that point, I have to start worrying about holding it up a little bit, because this yellow, like our attitude will be like right here, and the green, our direction of movement is going to be like right on the horizon, and so I have to hold it up a little bit to make sure that we still continue to go up. That's where we'll deal with problems. Let me twist just a little bit. I like having this completely level. When these last two tanks come off, I feel like it's a safe thing to do. Otherwise, like, I don't want one of them to be up on top and come down and clip the engine. Alright, here we've got our solids. Now, so you can see it's steadily bringing her down, but let me rotate it around. Slow it down, slow it down, slow it down, and right here. I'm going to hold it right about here. We're up to 28,000. We have to use the atomic engines a little bit to get it all the way up, but that's good because I don't want this thing floating around in orbit and just have it slam into to like my space station or something like that. Since I'm going to be so close to it, I don't want to have it break anything important. Now, especially here, it's trying to lean way over, and we can't let that happen. So, you can see our apoapsis is 50,000 meters, 50 kilometers now, and it's working its way out there, which is good. Alright, we just switched, I heard we just switched to our atomic motors, so... Oh, dear God. Let's see. 3. I don't know why, but somehow my lander engine's turned on, and now... Okay, that scared me. I thought that they were causing this overheating. I forgot. Atomic motors overheat on their own. But we shouldn't ever have... Yeah, like, they stop. As long as you don't have something weird going on, they generally stop. So you're seeing it's not having to throttle down to limit overheating. 65, almost... The apoapsis is almost out of the atmosphere, and once that happens, we are pretty much golden. Once it gets up to about 80, I can just let it go, and it'll get us into a pretty good orbit. I hope this didn't use too much fuel. It didn't use any out of that tank. This tank, it used it. It's still trickling out. How is that happening? None of those motors are on. Okay, I don't really have no idea. That's really weird. I mean, is there a leak? Look at this. 661, 660, 659. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out because that's not cool. I don't like that. Alright, this is at 80, so I'm just gonna let the ship go, and it will autopilot is still engaged, so it will get her done, all on its own. Oh my gosh, it pulled the parachutes too. This really sucks. I hope we can get those repaired. I don't want to have to launch this whole thing again. What the heck? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what blue means. Hopefully I'll be able to EVA some Kerbals out and they'll be able to repack those. So that's what I'm hoping. I think because the autopilot's engaged, it's not letting me move these around. I hope that's not the case because I added these on and forgot to put them into their own stage, and that's what caused everything to happen. So there's a good chance my parachutes are ripped out, and I won't be able to land on any planet that has an atmosphere without using up a lot of fuel. I don't know, we'll figure it out. Alright, so as you can see, our apoapsis is 83,000 kilometers. 83,000 meters, not 1,000 kilometers. It's working. This is the space station right here. This is still increasing, so that's good. And slowly but surely, eventually you're going to see the periapsis creep out from around the backside of the planet, and then eventually they will switch places. This is still increasing. The time is increasing, so it means I'm not catching up with it. Here we go. This is going to come out. They're going to flop around, and then we're going to be extending the orbit on the far side. I don't like using autopilot. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice, but doing things that I can do manually, I would completely rather do them manually. But docking something like this, I'm just afraid of. I might try it, I might get close, and then I might just allow the autopilot to guide it in. That's generally actually what I do. Like, I will use the Smart ASS function of MechJeb. I'll use that, and I will use the just to conserve fuel, I will use the Rendezvous planner. Not the planner, the Rendezvous autopilot. Because if I use the planner helps too. I keep that open too, just so when I'm manually getting closer to the space station, I can see, oh, closest encounter is going to be 65 meters, so I should start applying thrust when I'm at 70, just to know that it's going to work out right. This one's got more fuel than the others. But I don't think that there is a bigger tank on it. Wow, that's weird. Maybe it wasn't on for a while. I don't know. But once I get to the space station, I've got 3 of the big, like, giant Rockomax things. I'll be able to attach those and have no problem. Alright, autopilot has set us up. Closest encounter right here is 126 meters. Now, let's hurry up. Get this out, get the Rendezvous autopilot, the Rendezvous planner. I like playing on this giant screen. It gives me lots of room to work with things. It's a TV. Engage autopilot. And now I'm going to watch this number, because I don't like waiting for this thing to do everything that it does, especially with an atomic engine. That's going to take forever. So what it's going to do right now is once it gets here, it's going to do a burn that will slow down the orbit, and it's going to bring these two together. And then at that point, I'm going to disengage this autopilot, and I'm going to match velocities at closest approach, and then I'm going to orient myself for that. And that will be good. At least that's what I'm hoping. Generally, if you catch it before it makes one full revolution, as this does a burn to match the planes, this number will decrease, and we'll end up very close to each other, and I can just hit disengage autopilot. Alright, this must not have been the correct burn, so either I missed it, or it's not the right one. Yeah. Maybe that was just a fluke the one time, or the one series. Like, maybe that rocket took just long enough to get into the atmosphere that it would work. Alright, well, it's going to do a lot of work now. Luckily for me, I've got a hybrid. Not really, it's not an electric hybrid. It's a, right into the sun. It's not an electric hybrid, it's an atomic hybrid. Oh, here we go, 97. So that is going down, but maybe once it gets around, it'll go down further. This is actually surprisingly maneuverable. You see how easy it's spinning around, and it's got a lot of weight to be thrown around, and I don't have RCS turned on right now. I've got a couple mini tanks up here, and then I've got this big tank back here. So when they're separated, I can maneuver each one of them in orbit without using the big engines, which is good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. It's actually really, really cool. I'm glad that it worked out as good as it's working and got into orbit. And my space station has tons of fuel. Like I said earlier, tons of fuel, tons of docking ports. This thing is just going to be chilling there on call at all times, ready to go save some lives if it's ever needed. So I'm happy with that. I really hope that the Kerbals can fix the parachutes. Once I get docked with the space station, I'm going to attempt to EVA one of them and see if he can repair these. Because I've got 4 of them, and I really liked the fact that I had 4 working parachutes. Even though, to be honest, I don't know if these 4 tiny, tiny, tiny engines would even be able to make it out of a planet with an atmosphere. Because I'm pretty sure generally the bigger planets have atmospheres in this game. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know how well that would work. I'm gonna make some quick saves, maybe save scum, back up my save game file, and just take this thing places and figure out what it can and can't do. Separation at closest approach is now 122 kilometers. Alright, now it's starting to go down. If it gets down, planning home and transfer for intercept. So if it gets down to a good low number. Oh yeah, alright, so it's done. It is done now. And now I'm pretty sure this is a bug, but if you look, the frame rate, Fraps is saying that I've got 7 frames per second now, whereas normally I get like upwards of 180. Well, I do get 180 because that's the frame cap in this game. So, I have to disengage the autopilot here, turn this off, and then match velocities at closest approach, because something just doesn't work right. And so now I've got a node to match velocities at closest approach. I can hit node. I'm pretty sure... Oh yeah, hitting node will just point it right towards the node. And then I keep this on target, so that way I can go off, and then I can start... I think the RVEL, I'm pretty sure that stands for relative velocity. And then this is obviously the target. So once I get close and I've burned through the node, I'll do relative velocity minus, which should be at that point pretty close to where the node was, unless I get it all the way. If I get my relative speed to be exactly 0, then I'll just go right to the target, because I'll still be, it's saying 150 meters away. And I will just burn towards the target. So now, let's see, we've got 20 minutes until I've got to make this 76.9 meters per second delta V burn. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bow. Now let's... Whoa, cannot work faster than one time. Guess it fell off a little bit. Alright, so let's go down on 5 times. And now it's recommending that much of a burn, but I don't believe it because that's probably with the engines that it came with. So I'm going to start my burn now. Alright. Now, the time went up, but not by as much as I thought it would. So, let's fast forward. Things are lagging again. 9 frames again. Whoa. Alright, here we go. Target is Space Station 2. Relative velocity is 9.9. Let's change this to off. Target. Go in the opposite direction of the relative velocity. Now you can see it's going away from me. So I'm going to give it some thrust. We're going to cut that out. And now this is where this right here comes in handy. I don't know why I'm only getting 9 frames per second. I guess because this is a big craft, that's a big craft. Loading them up both at the same time is bad. Now to the target, which is right here. Now you can see right now, actually, only moving at half a meter per second. I don't even need to use any more fuel, and I'll be that close. So, let's actually do that. Because I can bleed off this much speed just by using my, what's it called? Just by using my RCS. That's easy to do. So, I'm hoping that it'll be on the daytime side of the planet, because I've got lights over there, but I don't feel like switching vehicles just to use the lights. Alright, we're back up to the frame limit of 30 that I put on Fraps. So I don't know, maybe it was just applying thrust was messing with it. I don't know. It's really weird. Alright, now, turn RCS on, fire in. And now we're back down to 9 frames per second. Alright, now, this will give me a chance to decide which one of these ports I want to dock on. Let's go ahead and open this shield and then control from here. So that way I can use the docking autopilot. And now for this, let's just go ahead and do this one, set as the target. And now I keep this open, and also I can keep this open, but just keep it set to off. And now let's hit up the docking autopilot. And I don't like the amount of RCS it uses, so I am going to get myself closer and get myself oriented on the proper side, at least I hope. I can't really see anything. So, yeah. Let's turn off RCS since I can do this job without it. Here comes the sun. Reference to a song. Anyways, coming in nice and close. I went into the mixer and turned Kerbal Space Program volume down to 1%. So I can still I can hear the thrusters and I can hear the music, but that's about it. Alright, let's turn RCS on and then blast backwards. Now let's turn it back off. Speed up time. Because I want to make this last longer. There we go. You know, let's go past it. Let's dock right here. I like this option better. Because then I'll be on the sunlight side. I won't have to worry about spinning this thing around. Let's turn RCS on. Now I should just drift right by it. And my frames per second are low. I've got a good computer too. I don't even know why that's happening. Alright, please don't tell me that I'm gonna collide. Alright, well, let's just go ahead and hit autopilot. Please don't break anything off autopilot. Please realize that I have a very, very fragile solar panel somewhat in your path. This thing is very maneuverable with the RCS, but as you can see, basically from what we've done in orbit already, we burned 700, or we're down to 700. Activate docking camera. These are the 3 mods that I have. Are the laser systems docking camera, struts, and mech jib. Now, once it gets close enough that it's only, yeah, like you see moving forward to dock, at this point I will turn the autopilot off and I will just let it cruise in on its own. Shit, I had the RCS turned off. Now, it's not perfectly balanced, so you can see it's starting to twist. I tapped the SAS. I can't really. Yep, I'm off. I'm off now. Very nice. I wish I could see better down here. Well, that'll explain why I can't see anything. Yeah, I'm pretty lousy at docking. It might have been better just to leave it to the autopilot. I think I'll do that. Then again, this is the biggest thing I've docked. The last thing that I docked using that method was this, where I would just let it get to the point where it was going in, and I was pretty far out. I was like 60 meters out, and I didn't want it doing this, just spazzing the whole way in. So what I did was I allowed it to get close, or get online where it just says moving forward to dock. I turned this off, sped time up, turned this back on so that it would be close again, and then at that point, I'm going to spin this also, so that way hopefully some of my struts will line up, my quantum struts. I don't think a single one of them lined up. That's just pathetic. I was halfway in between where I was looking for. Look at this. I was hoping to get one right there and one right there. Well, whatever. This is fine. This is okay. Now, rendezvous planner. We don't need you. This. We don't need you either. Let me attempt... to fill up all of the fuel tanks. This is no longer draining fuel, which is nice. Yeah. So. Let's fill that up first off. Alright, that's empty. So I guess now we're going to start going off of these since they don't really need to be used. Let's see, those are all full. Yep. I don't know if you can transfer from multiple tanks at a time. That'd be cool, but I don't know if it's possible. Whoops. I had to just move the camera angle. Can't warp time while you're transferring fuel, eh? Okay. Alrighty. Did it again. Close enough. So our fuel tanks are slowly filling back up. I would speed this up if I could, but I can't really. While we're here... Okay, this is making me angry. Whatever. Maybe after I repack these, it'll stop messing up and stop ruining my life. Jesus! I keep forgetting. I cannot rotate the camera angle while this is happening. Yeah, it must just be the complexity of these ships that's causing the lag, because I'm just a steady 9 frames per second, and looking over here, I mean, my mouse is moving fine, but then again, this is a Windows mouse, it's not an in-game cursor. You can't really tell by looking at the world, maybe you can, but it doesn't seem to me like it's lagging that badly. Now, each one of these 3 tanks, the way that I got them up into orbit, I got them up completely without using any of the fuel from any of them whatsoever. So they're still completely full. And there's an RCS tank here. I'm pretty sure that it was mostly used, though. And... yeah, an RCS tank there that I don't know how much is in it. I can't remember if I brought up a vessel to charge it. There's an RCS tank here, and then there are 2 full RCS tanks here. Or at least pretty full. The only thing that was used out of them was just to dock them. You can definitely tell that there's a little bit of lag going on when I swung the camera around like that. still don't know why the center tank was draining slower than the rest. Hopefully we will figure that out later, and it won't prove to be a weird problem. This is sort of a tedious process. It'd be cool if I could just channel fuel from that side of the station into this side of the station and just fill up all, like, maybe if I hooked fuel lines, I don't know if that would work or not. If I hook fuel lines up, I'm not sure. And like linked them all to each other. Alright. Yeah, this station is pretty powerful though. I mean, if I brought some of this fuel into these 3 engines and made sure it was balanced properly, I could probably move this entire station from one orbit to another. You can see I've got quantum struts holding it together, so it holds up pretty well against flexing, and I could retract all of these panels just at the push of a button. So, no problems. Alright, there should be just enough fuel left to redo this last tank. Yeah, that one's completely full, and this one's barely touched, which is interesting. Alright, out. I hope all these, Why? Why is this going slow? Like, I need it to be here, but at the same time, I don't want to wait for this much time to go by. There's only 4 of them. Okay, this is weird. Did I not finish fueling this, or is it something other than what I think it is? Because it says that it's still running low on fuel. I'll have to take a look. This ship is just glitching, maybe. Maybe it's thinking that the mono propellant is some of its fuel. Who knows? Transfers much faster into one of those big tanks. I find that interesting. Alright, I guess let's just start going from right here. I want this thing to be full and ready to go. Crap. Alright. Maybe this will just go away later. Let's turn this off so in case I press shift we don't have problems. I never thought about it back when I had the chance to, so I have to turn these off by hand. I just do that. I keep all the engines off because one time I accidentally pressed shift without thinking about it, and you guys can guess what happened. Bad things happened. I'll give you a hint. I find it cool that I can just transfer stuff from one of these tanks anywhere on this ship to the other tank. Anywhere on this entire station. It's really cool. Alright, so here we're going. I will send out the Kerbal now. I will try and get him to be able to repack these chutes. So let's do this. Here we go, Bob Kerman. You're going on an EVA. Okay, he was going down a ladder. I didn't realize that. I thought I had lost control of him. Alright, looks like I can't repack the chute. Looks like they're broken. I'll figure out some way to fix it. Well, that's not good at all, I guess. Alright, we'll see what my skills are. Alrighty. So let's undock. Let me switch back to here. Let me turn on my RCS and just back away slowly. Close the shielding. I don't know what that means, that noise that I'm hearing. Hang on just 1 second. I'm going to let it get a little bit more distance. Alright. Which way are we orbiting? Orbiting that way, and that's the direction I'm going to have to go, of course. Perfect. Alright, now. Not the rendezvous planner. Even though I will eventually use that again. Come on, set as target. Actually, I think it's better to not set that as the target. Because it knows no, maybe it doesn't know automatically, I don't know. Alright, anyways, point is, let's do that. And I'd say, maybe right at the apoapsis. Add maneuver. Hopefully that right there will give me enough time to This is not the type of path that I'm used to seeing. Alright, there we go. That's more like it. Alright, and this is 8 minutes ahead of me. Alright, whatever. Let's go back into this view. Node. So that'll get me facing in the direction of my node. Now I'm just gonna get like a little bit of a figure here. Alright, so 2.5 minutes. That means a minute and 15 seconds is when I want to start it, if I still want it to be on track. 3, 2... Alright. Minute 15. Here we go. I like that glow. The pipe on my dirt bike looks like that if I ride at night. Not too bright, but just faintly orange. It's pretty cool. Alright. I'm gonna check a text message that I got. I've been recording for quite a while. It's gotta be like 40 minutes now or something. Maybe that's why it's messing up, is because the video's starting to lag out. I don't have it set to split to 4 GB chunks, so it might be writing to like a 60 GB video file or something right now. Perhaps might be. I'll have to figure something out with that. Yeah. But whatever. All of my engines are burning, but now this engine, I filled it back up, and now it's still draining less. What? It's going, but it hasn't drained from either one of the tanks. Oh my goodness. Alright, somehow this engine right here is draining fuel from this tank. Alright, I gotta fix this. I gotta disable crossflow or something. I'm about to be done here with this burn. And instead of fast forwarding time, I'm gonna fix this. That's just, wow. Never seen anything like that before. Do I not have? Oh, it's still going to my node. Wow. No. Bad. Let's turn you to off and then just point us in the direction of the relative velocity. I will turn that stuff on eventually. Alright, this fuel tank, and now this fuel tank. Refill this one. Perfect. And now, goodness gracious, I'm not going to be able to disable the crossflow, am I? I'll just have to make sure this one's full before I undock these two, I guess. That's what it's looking like. So, now let's go back here, make this the target, and now let's time warp. Okay, it's acting like I'm no longer going to be in the orbit, so maybe I broke something by transferring that fuel, who knows. But, let's add a maneuver here. Let's just see if I can... A tiny little burn should be all that we need. I'd like to have the most time in its sphere of influence that I can to slow down. Alright, that'll be good. Alright, in 6 minutes, I've got to make this burn, so let's get me facing towards the node. Facing towards the node. Now let's fast forward until we are close, about 5 to 10 seconds away. All right. Good enough for me. Oh, come on. What is this? What is this? Why does this happen? There we go. Close enough. Once I get in there, I'll just go retrograde, and it should just work. Okay, beautiful. This is exactly what I am used to seeing. So now let's take this, burn retrograde until I am, well, let's see what sort of orbit this is in. This is in a 27,000 meter orbit, probably because that's all I could do at the time. So let's get this to be pretty close. Actually, rendezvous. autopilot. Let's hit this and turn it off. And now let's set as target. And then 100 meters away. Don't know what it's doing. I'm afraid of it, though. So, yeah. Let's just slow it down like I was planning on doing before. Get myself pretty close to the surface. $63,000 feet. Face me towards the node. And I should be doing pretty good on fuel. Yeah, surprisingly I am. I'm hoping that this thing will be able to make it to any planet. And just, we'll be able to rock it. Let's test out those, dish. There we go. So I'm pretty sure some fuel is used. Well, that's blocked by a winglet. But that one's producing electricity. Which is enough, hopefully, to charge the battery wherever I put it. Alright, I'm facing towards the node, and in... Well, let's just go ahead and start it. I'm going to retract these so I don't break them off. But, let's go ahead and start it now. Yeah, when I see things like, when I see that I'm about to just fly away from the planet, and I turn on the autopilot and it actually wants to increase the throttle, I don't know what it's planning on doing, and I don't trust it, and therefore I choose to not use it. Maybe once I get into a nice circular orbit, I might turn it on and just allow it to work. But not yet. Definitely not yet. It's too early in our relationship for something like that. Now, the chip around the moon is not dockable. I made that back before back before I knew what docking was. Not before I knew what docking was, but before I was ambitious enough to try it, so I'll have to EVA them into this craft. There we go. Sweet. Now, it's getting us in the proper direction for that node now. And once it does, I will time warp until I'm way up there. And I'll just get myself close. I'll get myself until I'm trapped in the orbit, and then I will allow the rendezvous autopilot, hopefully, to do what it does. Back up to 28 frames per second, back up to 30 now. So that's interesting. I really wonder how big this video is going to be. It's going to be insane. I'm going to turn on, just for the sake of time, I'm going to turn on RCS. I didn't even have it... Oh yeah, I did have it set to node. I was afraid for a second. Thought I didn't even have it set to node. I was like, wow, look at that. Alright, so let's turn off RCS now because it should be able to just work that on its own. I'm hoping. Yeah, awesome. Alright, now, this is the rescue craft. Where's that other thing that needs to be rescued? The Mun rocket. It's already set, so now let's engage autopilot. Now it's actually setting up a reasonable orbit here. So, yeah. And as always, I'll pay attention to this. It's because we're on opposite sides, I guess it's going to get me on a little bit of a bigger orbit, or well, it's going to circularize. I guess mine's elliptical right now. So it's going to circularize the orbit, and mine is going to be bigger than that, so this one will speed up, and it will catch up to me, or rather I will fall back to it. That's how it looks. That would make more sense, since I'm behind it right now. At least we're both orbiting in the same direction. If I can fast forward this stuff, I'll try to. But what I did on my last video was I just used Handbrake to encode it and shrink the size, since I didn't want to upload a 26 gigabyte video up to YouTube, you know. My fuel's looking good. It's looking good. Who knows? It may not be enough. This may have been a bad idea to build this thing. Who knows? I don't know, that's for sure. Let's turn on RCS. It seems like it could use a helping hand to get around there in the next 1 second. Alrighty. I think this autopilot, rendezvous autopilot program just does the job a little bit too well. Like, I use it to save me the time of having to set it up, but I think that me setting it up is worth it because I may not get quite as close, but it takes me less time. and it like, I mean, I can get it to a kilometer. This one right here is at 0.2, which is just a little bit over what I requested, but I can get it to like 1.5 kilometers, and then all I do is I null the difference in velocity between me and the other craft, and then aim towards it and go, and then fast forward time at like 2 meters per second, maybe slower, maybe like 1.5. Alright, so now it's shrinking down the orbit, so I'll be there. And you can see this is going down, 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 down. Wow. So now is where this thing starts to cause lag, so I'm going to disengage, but it's 5 kilometers away. That's not what I asked for. Whatever. Actually says that the closest point is going to be right here, and it's going to be 0.3. So I don't know what the heck that is. Maybe it's thinking of something different, but maybe it's thinking of this. No, that's 40-some kilometers. Alright, well, whatever. I'm going to do this burn right here. Once I get off of this, I'm probably going to work on some AP chemistry. I'm on my last week of school. Last week of high school. And then after that, on to college. To become an aerospace engineer, ironically. I guess it shows those type of people are interested in this type of game. Yep. That's how it is. So, 4-second burn. Cool. So let's slow it down around here. And then, we're still facing in the right direction, so let's go for that burn. Whoa! Overshot. So, what I'll do is I'll get facing in my prograde, the prograde direction, and then I will use RCS in the backwards direction, since it's closer and should save RCS. What? Alright, not prograde. Target. The direction that I'm facing, relative to the target. That's more like it. Now, watch this number right here just creep down as I do this. And it's not creeping down. Maybe I used it in the wrong direction. I think I did. I decided to not use the monoprop because it costs a lot. There we go. Here's my little lost lander module. It's the first one I built, actually. What does the electrical charge do? I'm out of electricity. I guess it's, the remote control module? It's gotta be that. It's gotta be the remote control module, because I'm out of it. I'm out of juice. I knew there was a reason I put those solar panels on here. I just knew it. Alright, 4.7 meters, closest distance, 150 meters. So let's spin myself around. Since I'm not going to be docking, I guess it doesn't matter what direction I come in. .165 is going to be the closest. Alright, now let's null out the rest of my speed. Now let's face the target. Whoa. Just by bursting that RCS, I'm now at that distance away. That is pretty awesome. So, oh crap, it's starting to build back up again. Alright, there we go. 37. Having all those fins on there was a bad idea. I wonder if there's a way I can get those off. Alright, whatever. 0.2 meters. It's not that much of a problem. Alright, now. We're going to hit off. We're going to lock this thing's location. And we're going to switch to this craft. Now. You're up first. I'm on the other side of the crew hatch. Okay. And now the last one. Alrighty. We have our precious cargo. And now we can unset our target from Mun Rocket. I guess we can't, guess we can't set our target to that, but I should still be able to do... Am I still under control? Alright, I'm still under control of this, so... Oh, there we go, okay. Now, I'm not going to try to aero brake, because, you know, that's just crazy talk in something like this, but theoretically, right now, if I was going to try to aero brake, I could easily do it. All I would have to do is tweak these settings until my periapsis was below the edge of the atmosphere, and it would work. Wow, that's actually a collision course. $151, that's almost perfect. Alrighty. So, in that amount of time, I'm gonna make that burn. Alright, so what I think is gonna happen... Oh, goodness gracious. Hopefully this is gonna work. I thought I was making it on this side, apparently I wasn't. Or, I moved it around until it got on that side. Okay, it's looking good actually. I thought it was gonna be wrong, but I was wrong. Cool. Now, That's weird. That scared me. Made me think that I was orbiting the moon still. Alright, let's allow it to face towards the node. I'll turn on RCS just to speed things up because I don't know where the node is. I guess, looks like I'm moving that way, so it's going to be somewhere in that direction. Alright, well, I'm pretty much home, you guys. It was fun making this video, although it got sort of slow at times. It took a long time. But this was a good little test of this device, and it seems, or of this rescue pod, and it seems like it did its job fairly well. So I'll dock it back up to the space station. I'll send up a couple ships to replenish the fuel supplies. I'll do that a couple times. Maybe send up one of the huge tankers and just attach it and dump fuel into every single place that can take fuel. But yeah, so I'll be ending this video now. Subscribe because I'll probably be making a couple more. I'm sort of hooked on this game. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.